Hey guys, this is Corey from the Rough Ninja Network, and this is the obligatory Midichlorian media intro section, where I just talk about stuff. Today we have a special guest. Nate and I have a special guest. His name's Jake Leach. He's a fantastic fan of film that I met in school. He's a very talented guy, and he knows his stuff about Star Wars. And, Jake, if you're listening to this right now, thank you. Thank you for going on the podcast again. And I think it's going to be a real treat because we don't just talk about Star Wars in this one. We talk about pop culture in general and nerd culture and a lot of really good, amazing things. I hope you enjoy it. Have a nice day. Hey guys, this is Midichlorian Media, and I'm Corey Osborne. Your host, the host with the most, or at least that's what people tell me, I guess. And by people, I mean myself. But we have Nate as always.
Hello, glad to be back.
And we have a special guest today, Jake Leach. Good kid. Solid kid. He likes Star Wars. He has a good head of hair.
That's true. It's growing it out.
It's growing out.
He has a Ramones shirt on.
Yeah, dude.
One of my favorite bands. I saw him walking. I was like, all right, I like this guy.
That's exactly. That's the way that we see it. Like, the thing is, I think the cool thing about T-shirts nowadays is that you see a person with a T-shirt and you know whether you can interact with them. Like, for instance, you see a person with a certain red shirt with some words on it that's similar to some hats that people wear too. I know to stay away from them.
I almost wore that today.
Oh shoot! We need to make the galaxy great again.
We're gonna build a wall, and the Gungans will pay for it.
Honestly, I really want the Gungans to pay for it, but I feel like they have to. But anyways, today we're talking about Solo. Today we're talking about toxic Fanbase. We're also talking about what Lucasfilm should do from here, because whether you like Solo or not, it's just not performing the way it should. And different things like that. Like, it's just, something needs to change. And we're going to just start out with our thoughts on Solo. And I kind of don't want to go first. So since we're just going to throw Jake on the spot, and he's not going to know any of our opinions on Solo because we haven't really talked about it all that much. But Nate, what did you think of Solo? Or Jake? Why did I say Jake? I meant to say. I was like, wait. I totally meant to say Jake.
Remix.
Yeah, remix. You're wrong. Okay.
So I guess overall, I could sum up my thoughts on Solo with sort of like, all right. Just because, like, overall, I didn't think it was a bad movie.
Yeah, I feel.
But I wasn't necessarily like, this is, like, it wasn't the same feeling that I had with, like, Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah.
Because even though Force Awakens has some huge flaws in it.
Oh, yeah.
But Solo, I was just sort of like, yeah, that was okay.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't love... I always mess up the guy that played Han's name.
Mm-hmm.
But
Alden
I didn't love
Ehrenreich.
him. I love Donald Glover.
Oh, yeah.
Just
great
like,
in anything.
It's just like, that is the perfect Lando. And I knew from the minute that they announced Donald Glover in the movie that I was like, yep, I'm all on board with that.
Yeah.
Overall, I think I saw a review that said, like, a fun movie with surprisingly low stakes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I would agree with that.
Oh, yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but I actually agree with that now that you say it.
Yeah. Nate, what do you think of it?
I personally, I think you can tell by the shirt.
Yeah.
Nate
is wearing a nice Solo shirt.
Yeah, speaking of t-shirts.
No, but I actually bought the shirt before I saw the movie. But I have a goal to get like one shirt.
What if the movie like offended you?
What if Han Solo just comes out and starts dropping the N-word?
Yeah, exactly. What if like he just said a ton of disparaging things about like Mexicans? He's like, specifically if there is a Nate Padilla here, that kid could go F himself.
I would actually probably think, like, knowing me, I'd probably think that was like hilarious and love the movie more.
Honestly, yeah, that does make sense.
No, but I do have a goal to get like a shirt for every movie.
Oh no,
but anyways, back to I really enjoyed it. I would go as far as say like I really like loved it. It was a lot better than I was expecting because like I wasn't excited about this movie like until like 2 weeks prior just because it was another Star Wars film.
I get that,
but like I honestly really liked it. I will say the very first like 20 minutes or so, that very beginning where it's like him and his girlfriend are running around, and then like it cuts, and it's like 3 years later. Mm-hmm. When it gets to that point, I feel like it starts to pick up. But anything before that, I'm just like, I wasn't really feeling.
That's weird because...
Until like when Cap did that 3 years later and he was like fighting in that war and stuff, then I was like, oh, I'm kind of excited about this.
That reminded me of Starship Troopers. Not
No, yeah, I completely. It did have a big vibe like that.
But like then I was like, oh, like this, like, and then my second time viewing it, I remember sitting it and I just kind of just like watching, like, okay, like let's just get to the fun stuff now. And then, after that, like I was completely like into it, but yeah, I agree. I'm at a point where I'm just kind of questioning what Donald Glover can't do.
Right.
Because
have you all seen it?
It seems like he just...
effect get good reviews?
Yeah, because it just seems like he just, like, everything he touches, that kind of turns to gold.
No, yeah, you're completely right. And it's just one of those things where it's crazy because he's killing it with Atlanta. Right. He's rumored to be in the next Black Panther film, which is super dope. Even though he's technically
rumored to be in the next Willy Wonka film.
Yeah, dude. Which, like, it's like, dude, like...
I didn't even know that was happening.
No, that's exactly. It's kind of, like, I don't really want him to touch Willy Wonka, to be honest, but the thing is, if they have...
if it's Donald Glover...
If anybody's gonna touch Willy Wonka... Honestly, it's like the creeper touching another creeper, so it works out. Well, Donald Glover isn't creepy, but, you know.
Right, but...
But, yeah, it's just, like, one of those things where it's just, like, gosh, the guy just... He can't do any wrong. Like, shoot. Like, his last album's one of my favorite.
Was the most recent one he put out Awaken My Love?
Yeah, Awaken My Love. Oh, God. Awaken My Love is amazing. Because I just got challenged to do one of those... This is going to turn into a Donald Glover podcast. Challenge Gambino podcast.
Why not, man?
But no, dude. I got, like, challenged on Facebook to do one of those, like, top 10 album things. And I'm like, Awaken My Love is definitely one of my top 10 albums.
I should have put that on mine.
I love Awaken My Love. It's so good. Right. But I'm just going to go into my thoughts of Solo. I thought it was an excellent episode of the Clone Wars. An excellent 2 hour and 15-minute episode of Clone Wars. I thought it was really good. It was very entertaining. I enjoyed myself. I surprisingly did not hate Alden Ehrenreich like I thought I would, because I'm like, anybody who's not Harrison Ford being Han Solo, I'm just going to hate him. Like, no, that's just kind of what I didn't hate him. I thought he was pretty good, and he did his job, and I enjoyed it. And it was one of those things where I actually have the exact opposite thoughts of you, Nate. I liked the beginning. I thought the chase was really cool. I just enjoyed it. But I know, your film is good when my biggest issue with it is a very technical thing. The color grading sucks. The color grading was honestly
awful. Like, that did not bother me. I didn't even think about it.
It was just so grimy and gross. I saw what Bradford Young was doing. He was the DP for it. I saw exactly what he was going for. He was going for the grimy underworld, practically putting a grime right on that lens and different things like that with the way that he did
Especially at the beginning.
Oh, at the beginning it was so bad. But it got better as the movie went on, so if the whole entire movie was just gross looking, I would be... And the annoying thing is there was really good shots, but then you couldn't see it, and it was just really frustrating. So I think he needed to dial that back, because there's nothing more that I love more than some good old color grading. Like if you've seen Oh Brother Where Art Thou and different things like that, the holy grail of color the reason why they started color grading.
Well, even to reference another Coen Brothers movie, The Man Who Wasn't There.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
It's 2002. Billy Bob Thornton, James Gandolfini kind of flew under the radar. It's a little slow, but the use of black and white and zoning and color grading in there color grading in quotations.
No, I feel it.
Black,
I get what you mean.
Is just Coen Brothers.
Oh, dude, I agree. Coen Brothers for Star Wars, am I right?
That would be really
that would be odd. That would be odd. I don't think Kathleen would do that after.
Oh, I'm sure we'll get to Kathleen.
we're definitely getting to Kathleen eventually.
So
just because we don't want any women in Star Wars.
Oh God.
Oh yeah. What's that?
The thoughts of this podcast.
It's Carrie Fisher or nothing.
yeah, exactly. Carrie Fisher is only allowed to fly on the screen.
It was all right when she was in a golden bikini, but when they start having rights and talking for themselves.
Oh goodness.
So back to Solo. One thing I noticed with the film as well is and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I feel Aldrin becomes more Harrison Ford Solo as the movie goes on.
Yeah,
and it's I thought that was pretty cool how he wasn't just right away Harrison Ford Han Solo. He was just this kid, and then as the movie goes on and he learns more things, he becomes more how Han Solo actually is.
No, because it's like interesting because Kira was all. By the way, I actually really like the characters in the movie, which is something that really surprised me.
Better characters in this movie than Rogue One. I'll say that.
I agree. The thing is, a lot of the like basis for characters in Rogue One had the potential to be cooler characters, but they didn't really do anything. And spoiler, they die. And it was just one of those things.
Wait, what?
It's like Corey just spoiled Rogue One 2 years later.
Well, like even before that movie came out, like we didn't know how that was gonna happen.
No, yeah, I get that.
Come on, but no. I actually really like Rogue One. I seem to be sort of flip flopped when it comes to a lot of the rankings, whereas like Last Jedi seems to be generally like beloved by people. It would probably be on the bottom of my list of Star Wars films. Yeah. But I've gotten softer on it as times have. Not for the shitty reasons that you see people being upset about Last Jedi. Yeah. But
have you seen the documentary for The Last Jedi?
I have not.
Okay, you need to actually check that out. It's on the Blu-ray, and it's like the thing is, I appreciated the film a lot more. After watching that, and the thing is,
like me.
I also appreciate Rian Johnson's vision because I don't like everything that Rian Johnson does in the film, but when he does things in the film, when like for instance, he wrote the best Yoda dialogue, period, in my opinion. Like honestly, fantastic Yoda dialogue, and the message that he was trying to convey about failure and different things like that in Star Wars, although it wasn't executed in the best way in my opinion, I still think it's a very good lesson to teach because so many people just saw all this thing that was quote unquote just like eviscerating their childhood, that they didn't necessarily look at the true messaging of the film. So it was just kind of one of those things where if you strip down the message of everything, it's just like I just found that very interesting. So I'd highly recommend watching the documentary because first of all, it's really cool, just like how they make these movies. Period, whether you dislike them or not. Right. Like, because so much goes into it. Like even those really weird those weird aliens that Luke got like the milk from. Those are so complex and amazing.
That kind of stuff didn't bother me.
Yeah, exactly.
And to not make this another episode about Last Jedi, I'll tie this back into Solo, where part of the thing that I liked about the beginning was this. I forget the name of the like underboss that he has to report to.
Oh yeah.
The sort of like worm lady.
I thought she looked super cool.
Right, and I'm definitely like a monster movie kind of guy. You know? Things like Reanimator or Pet Sematary, Wolfman, Frankenstein. That's all up my alley. And I think one of the things that attracted me to Star Wars as a kid was the creatures. Was the quote unquote. They're not monsters, but you know the different species across the galaxy. So that part of Last Jedi, that didn't bother me at all.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Stuff like that never bothered me either. Or even
I'm just glad that we don't have CGI aliens and different things. Like God bless George Lucas. Like I love George Lucas, but dude, the prequels.
And see, that's another thing is the prequels, as flawed to be nice as they are, have a special place in my heart because those were the first Star Wars I got to see in a theater.
Oh no, yeah, I can completely agree with you on those.
Let's not lie and say that Hayden Christensen, that guy.
Yeah, what a net dude.
He's
like a young Leonardo DiCaprio, don't you know?
In his defense though, like he had some real clunker lines. Yeah. Could you imagine if you got hired to be on Star Wars and be like, okay, you had to tell Natalie Portman, do you hate sand? It's just like, why?
Well, and I think the major thing about the new films that I appreciate over the prequels is that they're not all directed and written by George Lucas.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
And, oh, man, you only have so much patience for political psychobabble.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Trade federations and all this. Mm-hmm. But that being said, is this spoiler-free?
Oh, no, it's not spoiler-free.
Okay, so the ending of Solo, where Darth Maul is
revealed, gosh.
In the theater, I'm not kidding, I went,
dude, my whole theater started applying. Yeah. I'm in shock. I honestly, one of the reasons I went to go see Solo again was just so I can see what Darth Maul said, because I did not hear what he said the first time, because I was just so shocked.
No, it's just so great that they're actually acknowledging the canon. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, okay, well, people who just watch the movies, that's fine. You guys, I still consider y'all Star Wars fans, and that's amazing. But the thing is, just watch the Clone Wars, Because the Clone Wars is some of the best, people are like, I want new spin-off. I want brand new spin-offs.
Clone Wars is amazing.
Clone Wars is quite possibly one of the best. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender is probably my favorite animated show of all time.
Not a bad choice. They just released that whole series on Blu-ray.
Dude, I have it on standard definition, but I'm gonna turn around and buy it on Blu-ray. But Clone Wars, second or third, top tier animation. I love the animation so much more than they do for Rebels. It's so much more kiddie in Rebels.
I never peeped Rebels.
I like Rebels, but I just wish the animation was better in my opinion.
Fair enough.
But I really just love the Clone Wars, and the thing is, like, Maul's arc in there just is exactly what he should have done in the prequels.
Right.
And it's just so fantastic and so interesting. And I'm loving that they're actually acknowledging that. And I really hope that he is going to be in some of these subsequent spin-off films and different things like that. So I think that's going to be a good time. I'm really excited to get my boy Sam Witwer voicing Maul, because he's perfect at it. And, like, I'm really just stoked to see more of what he does.
Right.
So,
but isn't he also, like, physically portrayed by Ray Park?
Yeah, he is, but it's like one of those things.
I'm glad they combined that.
Yeah, I'm glad too, because Ray Park just he kind of sounds like a.
You ever seen the first X-Men?
He kind of sounds like a weasel.
Actually,
I bet he's, like, bless his soul. I feel like he's probably a real nice guy.
He was supposed to be Iron Fist.
Shoot.
That happened.
Iron Fist.
I actually met Ray Park before.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's cool, dude.
He was at Comic-Con, and I cosplayed as a Jedi, so when I went up to go meet him...
Oh, yeah, I remember
he
that.
was like... He looked at me, he's like, "Oh, you look amazing, man." And I was like, "Thanks."
Thank you, Darth Maul.
Darth Maul thinks I look good.
But yeah,
wow, that's amazing.
He's super short, but he's, like, a super nice guy as well. But
that's the surprising thing about a lot of actors, is that they're
Tom
tiny.
Cruise.
Well, that's not that surprising.
That is at that time.
But,
he seems like he has a tiny man complex.
But yeah, he's like this. He's like this ripped dude who has a lot of muscles, but he's, like, short too. So it's just like
he's just like Xenu. I pray to Xenu that I will be 6 foot tall in my next life. 6'3" or nothing.
But going back to Clone Wars, and, like, how I think it was you that said that you felt that Solo was, like, a really good episode of Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that, and I would also say that about Rogue One.
Oh,
Again, you have a lot of flaws, definitely caused by the troubles in production.
Yeah.
But
for all of these films, which we're gonna talk about that,
like,
but still, it's
what
like
a cluster. But
it really is.
And I would say that I've been the only new film under the Kathleen Kennedy era. Mm-hmm. So if we're using, like, pro wrestling terms, like that I had a problem with was Last Jedi, and that's fading over time.
No, it's one of those things where it's a very shocking film. And it's a hard film, it's a hard film to swallow, but it's one of those things where, for me, it acknowledged things in Star Wars that I've wanted them to acknowledge for years.
Right. And
which is, like,
sorry, not to cut you off.
No, it's okay. It's, like, with the hubris of the Jedi and different things like that, but continue on with what you were saying.
And I agree with you about, like, one of my favorite parts in Last Jedi was with Yoda, where he just is like, "Oh, you think these are all that important? Let's burn that down."
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Know? And the punk rocker in me can appreciate that.
Yeah, he's like, just burn it to the
ground. Let's destroy it.
Just burn it to the ground.
And so, like I said, I only have seen Last Jedi twice.
Yeah, I feel you.
And so I feel like there's definitely more to digest. It's kind of a similar situation I was in with Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Like, I was such a huge fan of the books. For Scott Pilgrim, like, the first, like, comic in a long time that made me laugh out loud the whole time I was reading it. And when I went and saw the film the first time, I'm like, I don't know if I liked this, because I wasn't sure about Michael Cera, and I wasn't sure about, whatever. But now on the 10th viewing or whatever, like, I love that movie.
Oh no, it's one of my favorites. It's a great movie.
I think Last Jedi is something that has to grow on me.
Oh yeah, and that's the, like, kind of beauty of film. It's like you can revisit a film, and then, like, for instance, I really disliked Thor Ragnarok when I first watched it. Which is kind of crazy, because a lot of people really loved it, and I didn't understand.
I'm one of those people.
I didn't understand why people loved it. I was like, the pacing is off. I don't like it. It's a little too fast for me. I was getting, like, it was frustrating because I really like Taika Waititi. I like his stuff, and I'm like, I don't know.
Hunt for the Wilder People is one of my favorite movies.
Dude, it's he's incredible. But it's one of those things where I was getting really frustrated. I was like, I think I should like this movie. I feel like I should, but like it had so many things that just. But I don't know if I was in a weird headspace when I first watched it, if I was tired or something. I remember it was a later showing when I saw it, but I checked it out for the second time, and I don't know why. Something just clicked in my head. I still had some issues with it, but I was like, wow, I really like it. Like, I think it's a fun movie. And it's a wild ride. Like, and I think a part of it was just, I thought in the context of, like, Thor, it just, like, weird. It just kind of, like, veered off and made him, like, a different character. But I think it really serves the arc, especially with seeing Infinity War. But this is not a Marvel podcast. We can go on, because the thing is, I feel like all three of us are just film nerds in general, so it's just easy to just talk about this stuff. But it's one of those things where we can segue right in. Do any of you guys have anything else to say about Solo?
Chewbacca
was incredible.
Yeah,
Chewbacca was so amazing. He had an arc, and he was talking. Okay, some reviewers talking about this. He said Han Solo had scenes where he talked with people. He had full conversations with people. And I know that sounds simple, but it's such an amazing thing, because he's like, oh, hey, blah, 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 yo, Chewie, you know I'm the reason why they put us on here. And he's like, and he probably said, no, they wanted me because I have muscles, and different things like that. And you can, like, tell that they're actually having conversations. And it was just so good.
I love that part. I think it's like when they're in that like one gangster bar or whatever, and he goes like, and Chewie says something, and he goes like, "You touch too much" or something like.
Yeah, he's like, "Don't be handsy."
Yeah, like, something like that. Like those little moments right there, or like when he's like, "Oh, what do you know?" Like those moments, like.
I love Chewie as a character.
Well, so I mean, one of my all-time favorites in Star Wars in general. I mean, that was the thing that really shined about Solo for me, was the characters and the inner workings between those characters with Lando. Were with I can't remember what Woody Harrelson's character's name.
Beckett.
Beckett, right?
Woody Harrelson was great, and dude, that scene was so heartbreaking at the end with him, because you could tell like Han didn't want to do it, but he just kind of knew that he had to, and it's one of those things where if Beckett didn't even like teach him at the beginning there, Han probably wouldn't have made that choice. He probably wouldn't have killed him.
Han shot first.
Han did shoot first.
When I was
George
at
Lucas was probably watching this going,
when I was at my opening night screening of that and that happened, some guy like right behind me just went like, "Ha, Han shot first." But
that's funny.
But overall, I really had a fun time.
Oh yeah, it's a fun movie.
Yeah, it is a fun summer movie.
Probably shouldn't have been a summer movie, but we're going to talk about marketing. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about Lucasfilm and their kind of poor choices they've been making lately. But
out of 10, what do you guys give this? Because I give it a solid, like a low 8 out of 10. Like it's like a 7.9999, but he's like, you might as well just give it an 8. Like that's what I give it. So like a good like 8 out of 10 for me.
That's probably a little higher than I would go.
What do you think?
I'd probably say maybe like a high 7, 7.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm driving with you here, Jake. I put it at a solid 7.5.
Yeah.
I think that's a good fair rating for it. It's a lot of fun. It's not going to be revolutionary or anything like that. When I watch it again, when it comes out on Blu-ray, I'll be like, oh yeah, that happened in that movie. And, oh yeah, that happened in this movie. But like, there's nothing that I'll be like talking about it for a really long time, except for the mall thing. But yeah,
which it almost puts it at an 8.
So, no, honestly, I'm thinking, if that movie did not have Maul in it, what would I think?
Right,
what would I think?
That's a good point. Yeah,
but it was still like, but that's the reason why we have these moments in movies. It transcends our whole, well, these shots are like this and this is like this, and I'm a snobby person who mentions the color grading and things like that.
But notice, like, when you said that, I was immediately like, yeah, the color grading.
But yeah, it's just, let's just chat about something that I'm frustrated that I even need to talk about this. But I think it needs to be addressed. And especially, like, I know this isn't a terribly popular podcast right now. I'm hoping that it will be someday.
Right now.
But it's one of those things where we need to talk about the fandom. And I know a lot of times I say stuff like, I love Star Wars, not a huge fan of Star Wars fans. And, I was just deeply sad in this week. Like, it was just a really sad week to be a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Because, as some of you may know, Kelly Marie Tran was, like, basically ousted off of Facebook because people were just verbally harassing her. And it's one of those things where it's just like, if you are listening here, and you are listening here because you want to get, you want hate, and you want people to just complain about Star Wars, and complain about, like, specifically people who you don't like because of their race, sexual orientation, or anything like that, don't go here. And quite frankly, you don't need. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like
as the guest, I'll say it.
yeah, exactly. You can say it. Mama Osborne's listening.
I apologize. But it just has to be said.
Yeah, like you can. Yeah, like honestly, you can. Like I don't want you to listen. I don't care for you to listen. I don't want, like, sure, if I lose any viewership, nobody listens to this besides my family, anyways. But it's one of those things where I just need to get that clear. Like I don't care for that. And I won't stand for that. And it's one of those things where I'm really embarrassed to be a fan right now. I'm really frustrated to be lumped into that because I have to be like, oh, I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'm not toxic.
Right.
And it's one of those things that it's just a damn shame. Like it really is. And it's just kind of frustrating to like see how these people have just been treating Kelly Marie Tran just because she's like a woman of color in a Star Wars film. Did I like her character in The Last Jedi? Not really. But
that's not like a reason to attack her.
That isn't a reason to go attack her at all, and it's just a really frustrating thing that a woman of color just can't like they literally can't exist in the space. Like we just have to have a white girl with a British accent. Like, the thing is, like Natalie, like we just need a Natalie Portman, a Felicity Jones type, and it's just ridiculous. You guys can, one of you guys can interject on what you're thinking
as
about
a white man.
He's the only white man on the panel, so be careful. Be careful, Jake.
No, I mean, all joking aside, like, it is really sad, and that's a headspace. I'm glad that I was not, because I grew up in a pretty fortunate family, in a pretty suburban, Caucasian-heavy environment.
Yeah, same here.
But one thing that I'm really happy about is that my parents were never hateful.
Yeah.
You know, they were very anti-racism. You know, my dad was raised in a very poor urban area.
Yeah.
And that taught him a lot of life lessons. And so it's really sad to see people care about things that really I wouldn't even think of, and not to be like, I'm colorblind, man.
Yeah, no, exactly.
like
okay, Fox News, close.
Yeah, right.
Slow your roll.
We don't see color. Like, obviously,
slow your roll, Huckabee.
Right, Jesus. Like, obviously, people are different, and that is a beautiful thing, as opposed to a thing that should be exploited and used as a means of terror.
No, yeah, exactly.
And that was probably very jumbled and, very much white-splaining something.
No, I completely understand what you mean, though, because it's just a shame that people can't venture off of where their life is. They just kind of go on where the course that they're going on, and they're like, oh, somebody's different. Well, I dislike them because they're different from me. And it's just it's almost kind of sad that people actually view the world that way and view their life like that. It's it's sad, but at the same time, it gets to the point where you're like, damn it, these people know better. You know? They really do. They, like,
it's just not like this is new information.
No,
it's
exactly.
Not like, oh, we've just discovered these people we never knew about.
Oh, it's like, what do you look at that? Kelly, and it's annoying because I know it's been bad for a while, but it's like, oh, golly gee, Kelly Marie Tran is Asian? What?
And in Star Wars? Oh, no.
Not allowed to do that.
We're okay with different aliens that are green and blue and
we'll dance for Jabba.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But, God forbid a woman of color.
Yeah, exactly. It's just... It's just an embarrassing time to be a fan.
Right.
It really is.
I mean, to the point where, like, I'm hesitant at times to wear, like, a shirt.
Exactly.
My Darth Vader Vans that I wear to every Star Wars premiere.
Yeah.
Because It's embarrassing. It's sort of like if you're into a band and then all of a sudden, like, the singer goes off on some racist tirade.
Oh, no, yeah, exactly.
Like, even, like Harvey Weinstein. Like, we won't delve into that hot potato.
Yeah.
But, a lot of the films that I enjoy are Miramax or Weinstein Company films.
Yeah, like, I love Tarantino films.
Right.
But Quentin Tarantino has done some very, very questionable things in the past.
Exactly.
Whether you cut it out or not, because I was even talking with one of my friends about this. She loves horror films, but she's like, the way that horror films treated women and treat women sometimes as basically like cannon fodder to just slash up and do what you will with them. Like, it's something that you in order, if you love something, you need to acknowledge the problems with it, and that's where our conversation was going. So it's just one of those things where you have to kind of do that. But
right.
Nate, we haven't heard your piece on this. What's
I actually agree. I mean, pretty much on everything you guys said. The only thing I'm kind of like not 100% on is like being embarrassed to wear like a Star Wars shirt or whatever. Because to me, it's just kind of like that my like natural like punk rock instinct to be like, I don't care. Like, shut up. Like I enjoy this. Like, go like screw off. I don't care. Like, because to me it's just like I enjoy Star Wars. It's my like. It's my personal escape, whether it's from escaping from something bad or just having a good time. I love Star Wars, and just like if you hate it, like I'm sorry you're missing out. And if you're gonna be racist about it, like I don't want anything to do with you.
Like, don't watch the movies. Don't be around the fandom.
It's like I just like can't stand these Star Wars fans who act like they're forced to watch these films, and they're just like, I didn't ask for a Han Solo film. It's like, don't go then. Like, like you don't have to go.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, no kidding. But like, but it's like I don't know. Like I'm not really embarrassed to be like a Star Wars fan or whatever. I'm still like. But honestly, the few times I've interacted with people who go like, who didn't like The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi or whatever, they're usually like really polite about it, and we actually have a good conversation about it. There's very few like people here and there who will like. I remember one time I posted something. It wasn't about Star Wars. It was something about like I jokingly put like on Facebook that like DC was better than Marvel, and this guy like wrote like a book on my status about how I was wrong, and all he replied was just okay. And like,
that's the funny thing about
it's just
you
like
on
it's just
Facebook.
like I don't care. It's like I enjoy it. I don't care if you enjoy it too. That's great. If not, like okay, sorry. Like, but like
that's the funny thing about Nate on Facebook. Because he's even done it to me, to where I'll, like, disagree with him on something, and then I will have, like, the most well-thought-out response, and he'll be like, okay, and I'm like, you win! Okay, Nate, you win. Like, what the heck is your problem?
Like, was it? No, there was the other day, Evan Douglas posted something about Civil War. He put like, Iron Man was right about Civil War, and all I put was, Justice League was better.
Not true, but okay.
Justice League was not better.
Justice League was so bad.
Just approaching that from a filmmaking perspective. It's just like, how do you put not finished effects in a movie?
Gosh, like, I'm sorry, but mustache gate.
But, like, anyways, but other than that, like, yeah, it's just, I don't know why people need to be, like, racist in the Star Wars community when it's literally, like,
or in any community.
Right.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
True. But, like, especially with Star Wars, it's just, like, there's so many, like, alien species and different creatures in Star Wars. It's, like, that's, like, the least, like, racist thing you should be, like.
Right.
Do you, okay, real quick, hot take here. Do you guys think that the political temperature has to do with the way that the fans are acting? Because I feel like people are more, like, as of the past few years, I have certain things that I would blame, but I'm not going to go there right now. Like, you know what I'm referencing, but there are certain reasons why I feel like people who are more racist have been emboldened in our country and different things like that. And honestly, across the world, really. Like, it's just sweeping over where people are like, ooh, wow, it's okay for me to have these prejudice.
Right.
Do you think that has to do with what's going on right now?
I think a little bit.
Like, because the thing is, I was listening to a podcast, and one of the guys was saying, he's like, these guys aren't fans, these guys are just racists, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, the thing is, you gotta look into nerd culture, because it's very, very misogynistic and racist in nature. Like, a lot of the people are, like, from, like, women of color trying to cosplay of characters who are like Caucasian by descent, and like people getting all up in arms and that. And like the thing is, every single time they like race bend or gender bend a character, the first thing you'll see is an angry reaction thing on any article about it. Like for instance, Starfire in the new Teen Titans show is black. And so it's just like, dude, she's an alien.
Why does that matter?
I'm like, dude, why does that even matter? She's an alien.
Well, even like in the new Hellboy movie, I think Dr. Broomer, I can't remember what John Hurt's character in the original is a woman in this one.
Yeah.
And that I stirred up a little bit of controversy I saw as well.
I'm so stoked for that new movie, though.
Didn't one of the actors...
honestly, the thing is, David Harbour...
Yeah, that's
Hellboy. I'm honestly really stoked for David. I'm sure Ron Perlman will always be my Hellboy, but dude,
didn't one of the
not my Hellboy.
Well, that's a white man.
Didn't one of the actors drop out of Hellboy because he found out like the character he was playing was a different race?
Oh yeah,
Ed Skrein. Ed
Skrein. Yeah, the guy from Deadpool when he was in like a season of Game of Thrones and got fired.
Oh, okay. But no, I think, the political crap that's going on right now is definitely affecting, because I think Aziz Ansari said it best, where he was just like, there's this like the small kind of KKK that's going on, and they're like, oh, we don't have to pretend we're not racist anymore. It's like, no, we appreciated your service. Go back to like pretending to not be racist.
Right, and I agree with all of that, as well as you have all these new platforms that present those voices that may have already existed or maybe they didn't. And it gives them a louder voice at times as well. And I'm not saying like, it's anti-technology and social media, but it's definitely easier to see, and in a way it's harder for them to hide.
No, yeah, I was talking with an older gentleman of mine about the whole like Anthony Bourdain situation and stuff with him. And but by the way, I know this has nothing to do with it, but he's inspired me in a lot of things, and rest in peace, dude. Like seriously, I'm really gonna miss your show. And like he inspired me to do a lot of things in my life and not just sit on my butt, you know.
And if you're in need of help, there are people out there that do care about you.
Exactly.
I mean, lots of people out there have had experiences that understand what you're going through and aren't just going to tell you, hey, cheer up.
No, yeah, exactly. Because the thing is, no, yeah, exactly. And what like I'm getting at here is that like it's just like the difference in generation. I was talking to an older gentleman about this. He goes, "You know what it is? It's your phone." And I'm like,
"Oh my god,
it's back away from your brainwave."
Like I really just wanted to like crumble into like a billion pieces here, because everybody's blaming, like, to get it back on what we're talking about with fandom. Everybody's blaming it on different things here. But when it comes to the root of it, it's a hard issue. And it's just one of these things where we have to have a true dialogue and actually talk to people like, why do you actually think this? Instead of just getting angry about it, because that's the easy thing. Like, that's really the easy thing. Like, I could just go around and tell people to go F themselves. And that'd be easy for me because, like, I could just be like, yeah, you're racist. I don't want to be around you. Right. But at the same time, you know what the only thing that I'm doing is they're just going to be like, oh, well, this SJW is just trying to, tell me how to live. But
well, I mean, I heard somebody commenting on just racism in general. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the band Pantera.
I'm not,
but I've heard of them.
There's the singer of their band is a guy, or was, because they're not a band anymore. Is a guy named Phil Anselmo. Who basically they were having this like reunion memoriam bash for the guitar player who got killed on stage, and Phil Anselmo started Sieg Heiling and shouting "white power," which he later claimed was a reference to drinking white wine.
Oh wow!
And
that's good for him.
It was like this.
Nate, I've never agreed, or like you always tell me that alcohol is stupid, and in this place, I will say alcohol is stupid. Alcohol is stupid.
Well, I mean, talk about just trying to cover your ass. But
exactly.
Anyway, Laverne Cox was on the Jason Ellis show. And basically, Jason Ellis had been like a lifelong Pantera fan, had tattoos of the band, and was just like, all right, F this guy, F everything. And Laverne Cox kind of had an interesting point about it.
By the way, if any of you don't know, Laverne Cox is a trans woman.
Yes.
And trans woman of color and different things like that. She's an actress and different things like that.
Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
And, Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
And she basically had a perspective that I hadn't even thought about, because it's very easy to just be like, you know what, throw him away. And she was talking about, well, to me, in order for forgiveness to be achieved, he would have to put in some real effort and go and learn with people of other cultures and actually sit down and have a dialogue. And she was very forgiving in the way she was talking about him. And she had been a fan in the past, I guess. She had, in her work, she had dated a lot of people in the metal community. And that was very interesting because, you know, it's very easy to throw people away because their viewpoints may be, I'm trying to put this without cursing, like, messed up.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You know.
But it's like, honestly, like, curse away, dude. You can curse. As long as it's not.
I'm just trying to cut it down.
Try to cut it down.
Because I'm notorious for just dropping F-bombs all over.
No, it's all good.
Did you I just curse at the chair?
Honestly, I feel like the chair would deserve it if you cursed at it.
Have you heard Donald Glover's bit about the seatbelt?
Yeah. I have. Dude, Donald Glover. Back to him. What a great guy.
I wish he'd make another stand-up special. Like, I know he's super busy, but like,
no, dude,
I love Weirdo.
he's just. It's so funny. He was like, "Have you seen me on Community?"
Well, I love Community.
I love Community too.
But it's nothing like this. Oh, he's gonna do Troy and Abed.
No, they're going dick.
Oh, but okay. So basically.
The fandom's need to
what we have
down.
with the fandom needs to calm itself. I think like if you listen to this because you want people to hate on people, you're not gonna do this. But even though you hate on people, I'll gladly, you can message me or text me if you have my number, and we can talk about this if you have a true problem with this. Because, you know, when it comes down to it, I may act really angry about certain things, but I always want to have a dialogue with somebody and better themselves and different things like that. So, yeah. So, you know, that is the state of fandom. Does anybody have any other points to interject about the state of fandom?
Also, stop saying that certain directors ruin your childhood, because
that's just getting really annoying. That's just
side note.
Like, guys, be nicer to Ryan Johnson on Twitter. He's a nice, like, the guy seems like he's super nice.
Yeah. No, the fact that at Star Wars Celebration he went through the entire line like the day before the Last Jedi panel and did a meet and greet with everyone waiting in line. It's like super.
Yeah, y'all loved him then. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like Looper comes out and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Ryan Johnson!" But Last Jedi split.
The funny thing is that, like, I like The Last Jedi a lot more than Looper, in my opinion.
I haven't seen Looper in a long time.
Like, I need to probably see Looper again, but I had problems with Looper. I thought it was really good.
With Bruce Willis in general as a performer, but we won't.
No, yeah, he phones it in a lot.
You ever heard the stories behind Cop Out? Like,
yeah,
you ever seen Cop Out?
Cop Out is garbage.
Oh,
but yeah, we can talk about that for hours.
As far as like final thoughts on the fandom goes, it's definitely disappointing, but I can't say it's altogether that surprising.
Yeah, it really
even the fans that are upset about things that aren't being racist or sexist about it, or among other things, it's definitely a reflection of American culture and world culture. Yeah, and there's definitely some deep wounds that need to be healed.
Oh no, yeah, exactly. And
I'm not saying I have the answers for all this.
No, yeah, exactly. Like all three of us are just three losers just talking about this right now.
I am not a loser. That offends me.
Oh yeah, honestly, stop being an SJW. Anyways, everything offends you because you're a stupid gosh darn millennial.
As a suburban white man,
I'm offended.
I'm a nice guy.
Oh God.
I'm a nice guy, but
I'm a nice guy. So I'm just gonna totally yell at this woman. I'm gonna yell at this woman just for not being with me. Because I'm a nice guy.
Who was it that Max Landis went on a big tirade about?
Was it is Max Landis the son of
John Landis?
John Landis? Okay, yeah, no, yeah, he's kind of the worst.
Which
is annoying because he's a great writer.
Right, like American Ultra, I loved. He did this. I'm a huge pro wrestling fan.
I'm a huge Chronicle fan too.
Yeah, Chronicle's great. Which makes me feel bad for Josh Trank. But And then he did. I'm a huge pro wrestling fan, which we could analyze the racism and sexism and all of homophobia and everything that goes along with pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. And that's a different podcast.
Yeah, what? Redneck anime? Eh?
Yeah, right. Which is so true.
It is so true.
And now I forgot what my point was.
Sorry.
But I can't remember this.
You're talking about like fandom with and you're talking about racism with WWE, different things like that.
I mean, it just sucks.
Honestly,
but I can't.
No, honestly, it does suck, and it's one of those things where I just kind of like, yeah, but let's just kind of get into this thing here. I required the guys to watch this video of this plug out to John Campia. He did this video on. This guy actually really likes Kathleen Kennedy and different things like that. For those of you who don't know, she's the president of Lucasfilm right now. Why she should step down. A lot of people have reasons for her to step down. We're not going to talk about the reason. We'll briefly talk about the reasons why some people want her to step down. Some people are like, we don't want women to be like protagonists in Star Wars anymore. It's just ridiculous. It makes me really annoyed that I even have to mention it. But the thing is, I just want a disclaimer. None of this has to do with that.
Right.
It all has to do with the way that she's been leading Lucasfilm lately. Because quite frankly, if you see things like Kevin Feige with Marvel, even the thing is, even Kevin Tsujihara at Warner Brothers with DC, like, he has his moments when he does things correctly. I'm not going to say that I'm not even going to say that he's as good as Kathleen Kennedy.
Forget that. Justice League killed my childhood.
No, okay, you're not allowed to say Rian Johnson killed your childhood, but you're definitely allowed to say Justice League has.
Double standard.
Yeah! But for real, though, it's just, there's plenty of different... Okay, a better exact would be, like another thing, like this whole like Me Too movement's been crazy, but like John Lasseter from Pixar. Say what you will about John Lasseter at Pixar. He's a very good head of Pixar. But different things like that. We need to look to the example of these presidents and see how they market their films, how they go about doing these films, and Kathleen Kennedy hasn't been stacking up. For instance, Solo should not have been, it shouldn't, like, I agree with the video, shouldn't have been greenlit. It shouldn't have even been, it shouldn't have released in May. It's ridiculous. Infinity War came out. Deadpool came out. Very short amount of time, and then Solo came out. Solo got buried. It's just one of those things where it's kind of crazy that they didn't have it in December, because the benefit that other Star Wars films had is that nothing comes out in January. Right. And it's one of those things where, as much as you say, The Force Awakens is amazing and it made so much money, which is true. It's amazing and it made a lot of money. But as much as you say that, a part of the reason why it made so much money is because like how the marketing was and how it pushed through. We didn't have our first Solo trailer until January?
I forgot it was happening.
I think February, actually.
Yeah. And
it premiered at Super Bowl. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And that's the thing. Is you have your people that are going to be like hardcore Star Wars fans like us that are going to be discussing it in great length, but let's say you have someone like my significant other. She likes Star Wars, but she's more of what you would call a casual fan.
Yeah.
And when I remember when her dad was like, "Hey, let's go see Solo," she looked at me and said, "I forgot that was even coming out."
No, yeah, exactly. Because the thing is, what really makes the Star Wars universe money, what makes Lucasfilm and Disney money, are those people. Really, because they're the majority. As much as we like the fans like to make us feel like, we're important. It really is like getting casuals in the seats.
Filthy casuals.
Yeah. Well, I'm just upset because I don't have anything to do in December now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, there's Christmas. There's the birth of Christ, but like the birth.
Dude, he was born in summer, dude.
Yeah.
Some would say he wasn't born at all. Oh, hot take.
Oh no.
But seriously,
dude,
the last 3 years. I love Christmas, but like the last 3 years, it's like it was cool to have like my favorite thing and Christmas in the same month. And I was like, that's awesome. But now it's just like, I literally thought like the other day, I was like, oh man, like what am I gonna do like in December now? Besides the typical Christmas stuff, because like
God, I love Christmas.
because also again the last 3 years on Christmas Eve, I went and saw The Force Awakens, Rogue One, and The Last Jedi on Christmas Eve, and now I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? Like, I just started a new tradition for myself.
No, yeah, exactly, and it's just one of those things where it's just really frustrating because it's like, guys, you just could have had it in December. Plus, they had all the reason to do so. Right. They could have given Ron Howard so much more time. Did you almost
say Ron Jeremy?
No, I did not almost say Ron. I was thinking Ryan.
What kind of podcast is this?
I was thinking Ron Howard and Ryan Johnson.
Sure you were.
No, but even like Mark Hamill was like, really? Like, we just got done with The Last Jedi.
Yeah, we just got done ruining everybody's trip.
But yeah, I think, and I don't know this because I never met Kathleen Kennedy. I feel like she was kind of like, oh, The Force Awakens did really well. People want more Star Wars. Let's do Rogue One. And then like it got to The Last Jedi, like, let's just push Han Solo because people just want Star Wars. And then like, obviously that didn't work out how she thought. And it's just like, because even me, I was just
she's playing it too safe.
Yeah, even
she's really playing it too safe with the way that she's kind of with her business model here, in my opinion, because it's one of those things where I feel like viewers, for instance, with Marvel, nobody would have thought that anybody would cry when spoilers for Infinity War, sorry.
I've seen it.
But it's like no one would think that anybody would cry if a raccoon was seeing a tree mist into dust.
Obviously you've never done mescaline.
But no, like what I'm saying is like nobody thought that you would be attached to a CGI raccoon like that. Right, and it's one of those things where that's because Marvel went outside of the box and decided to do something like Guardians of the Galaxy. Even though nobody knew, I don't care how much you love comic books, you were not reading Guardians of the Galaxy #1. But it's like one of those things where it's one of those things where I just feel like we really need to expand the universe. And I'm not even saying do a Knights of the Old Republic film, even though that's what I want them to do. But I'm saying like just do a genuine how about like a Star Wars thriller or anything where somebody's has all this political intrigue dealing with the Senate, like kind of like before episode 1 maybe, and different things like that. And
they gotta be careful when they touch the prequels though, because people are so touchy.
They are super touchy about the prequels, but I want people to be less touchy about it because I just love how clean it is, and I love the juxtaposition of how clean it was back then and how dirty and grimy it is in the original trilogy. Right. And I think that's great. I think they need to explore
with something you said though.
Okay.
About I keep hearing this like Solo should have never been greenlit. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with that necessarily because I'm not upset that Solo exists. Mm-hmm. I think it's inevitable at this point.
Yeah.
And this is in large part due to Disney and Marvel and just their business model in general, which may not be the best, but eventually the bottom falls out on all of this nostalgia trip that we're on with the comic book films, with resurrecting Star Wars. With so many different things. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's sort of inevitable that you're going to get a Han Solo movie. You're going to get a Boba Fett movie because somebody will go see it and somebody will make money off of it. Although Solo, maybe that's disproving my point a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I really want to see an Obi-Wan movie. Like the shining thing for the prequels in the prequels for me was Ewan McGregor.
Oh, yeah, Ewan's great.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, it's probably the best thing about the prequels.
No, the thing is I complain and I say stuff like she's playing it too safe, and then I'm there opening night because I just love Star Wars so much. And it's just one of those things like, well, like I can talk
and I would argue that Last Jedi was not playing it safe.
No, yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's actually a good point, and that does delegitimize my point because it was a very because it's crazy because they had Ryan Johnson directing and they had his producing partner Rom Bergman produce it. So it was one of those things where it was their film and she let them do their thing, which is just really interesting because it was just a very unique vision. So I guess you are kind of right in that regard.
But let me disprove my own point.
Oh, of course.
So I was just thinking about this.
Yeah.
So Last Jedi wasn't playing it safe, but you had a lot of backlash from Last Jedi as well. So if you look at the films after that, like take a look at J.J. Abrams being brought on for the next main trilogy one, which I think is a horrible idea.
I think it is because he doesn't know how to end a story.
Right. JJ was the perfect guy for Force Awakens.
Oh yeah, of course.
And now he should just disappear. Not entirely, but
I love JJ though.
I do too.
I love JJ. He's amazing.
Super 8 is amazing.
No, the thing is, I'm so glad that you said that. So many people sleep on Super 8. I love Super 8. It's great. Great film. If you guys love Stranger Things, watch Super 8.
Yes.
It's great.
So, and not that I really was that jazzed about Colin Trevorrow directing.
Oh gosh.
Because who cares?
Yeah,
but
he's so bland. He's just kind of a bland filmmaker,
now,
in my opinion.
Is there like some weird Jurassic World fandom that's going to come after us now?
No,
like this odd sect of people.
We are the Raptors.
They're like bronies, except dangerous.
They'd be like Raptor cons.
I think there's money in this, guys. But, I believe you and I had a discussion a while back about Ava DuVernay.
Yeah.
Or even somebody like Dee Reese or Ryan Coogler. Let's throw that name out there. Or even, I would have really liked to see what Josh Trank could have done.
I think so too. And I think that people really need to not blame him for Fantastic Four.
The first half of that movie is great. It falls apart about.
I would say the first half of the movie's okay. I can tell, I could really tell.
I was also drinking in the theater. I'm sober now.
Oh, it's the beauty. It's the beauty of Alamo. But but no, it's one of the things where there is gosh, I'm losing my train of thought now. But it's one of those things where it's all in the editing bay because they locked him out of the editing bay. And it's where the thing is like I do like Josh Trank said that there is a good film inside of there. And I agree. I think there is because I think there's a lot of potential. And even from the trailers, there's stuff that just straight up wasn't in there. And they just edited out of the film. And so it's one of those things where I still believe in Josh Trank. I'm very excited for his Al Capone. Or no, like he's doing some gangster flick with Tom Hardy in it, and it's about one of the main. It's about one of those main gangsters or something like that. Yeah. I'm not too well versed on it, but I'm so.
You're not studying your gangsters history.
No, yeah, but it's
Public Enemies is one of my favorite movies.
No, but I'm super excited to see what Josh Trank does, and honestly, it's sad that he's not going to direct a Star Wars movie. He's probably never going to direct a Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
but it's one of those things where. I'm still excited for what he's doing because I think he's an exceptional filmmaker.
Chronicle.
And, yeah, dude. Chronicle is one of my...
goodness.
It breathed life into found footage films for me because I was like, whatever.
There's also a really great found footage film called Willow Creek by Bobcat Goldthwait that's about Sasquatches.
I've never seen it, but
it's okay. I enjoyed it.
I'll add it to the list.
I really want Tommy Wiseau to direct Star Wars.
Oh, shut up. Oh, hi, Mark.
Could you imagine? Just give him like 30 minutes of something.
Hi, Luke. Oh, hi, Luke.
Have you guys read The Disaster Artist?
I haven't read it.
Talked about
no, yeah, the thing is, because I remember I was gonna ask you if I could borrow it, but
we'll hook you up with it.
No, dude,
it's just sitting in a drawer. But
yeah,
that if you watch the movie, and I feel like this might eerily mirror James Franco's actual life, whereas in the movie he just sort of comes off as this lovable weird guy. In the book, he's kind of a terror.
I see it. Honestly, yeah. I see it. I see kind of a sinister underlying thing with Tommy.
I think there's something upstairs in his brain. I think there's.
Well, yeah, it's Tommy Wiseau.
Honestly, I think it would not be surprising if it was revealed that he was a serial killer or something.
Or a vampire.
No,
didn't he want Johnny to be a vampire?
He wanted Johnny
to be vampire.
maybe be vampire.
I am your father. You're tearing me apart.
You're tearing me apart, Vader.
Why? Oh God, help me! Drops.
But there's my point was that there's such a fresh crop of new voices that you could bring into Star Wars.
Yeah.
Even if you're gonna rehash an older film, or an older story rather.
Yeah.
You can bring in a fresh breath, but when Ron Howard was announced as the replacement of,
we all knew what it was.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, they're just getting somebody to shoot the script. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's what they're just getting they're getting a competent director to shoot the script.
Right.
I've been very disappointed with Ron Howard lately, to be honest. He did well with Solo though, but
I'm not a huge Ron Howard fan anyway, but that's because in high school I'm like, it needs to be Tarantino or nothing. Like
blood splatter. They have to say the N-word.
Gratuitous N-words that I'm not gonna understand is a little awkward until much later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's one of those things. Like going back to it, there are problematic things about artists, and you need to acknowledge
there's problematic things about art, and that's always going to be the case.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like
but you have to analyze.
No, yeah, exactly, because it's like, it's for instance the juxtaposition or like a comparison for me is like the violence in the Childish Gambino video, This Is America, opposed to the violence that Kathy Griffin did with the whole like severed Trump head thing. Because it was like one of them is this just like, oh, look at this thing that we're doing here, blah 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 blah, and then the other one is very off-putting because you see a person who you like being the one who's perpetuating the violence and different things like that, and it's the way you implement your art is how
there's so many layers to that video.
Oh no, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
First of all, how well shot is that? That is such a like we're veering off, but we need to go back onto where Kathleen Kennedy and what we're doing here with like so. I think the fresh faces is a very good point. I think that is an ill-advised decision to make. J.J. Abrams do it, but honestly, he hasn't really ended a story before. If you like really think about his filmography, and the funny thing is, somebody was like this YouTuber was talking about him ending. The only time he ended a story was in the series Felicity, and it ended with the main character. Figuring spoilers for Felicity.
Oh no!
With the main character basically realizing that where they started out was where they wanted to be the entire time, which I would hate if he did that for the Last Jedi.
Did JJ have a hand in Lost as well?
Yeah, he did, but he had a hand with doing it, like making a ton of cool mysteries with Lost, and then just letting people do stuff with him, which is exactly what he did with The Force Awakens. Right. I know he did not know who Rey's parents were. No. He did not know. He probably likes to say that he knows where they were or what they were doing. He didn't know who Snoke was. He had all of these things that he just did not know. He did excellent with, like, he has his whole mystery box thing, and I appreciate it, but it's frustrating because he didn't, like, all these people are angry, and they're like, oh, well, if J.J. Abrams did The Last Jedi, it would have been so much better. I'm like,
I don't know.
I don't know if the decisions would be better.
I like the idea of having a different director helm each project.
Oh yeah, because that's how it was for the OG trilogy, and it turned out good.
Empire. Think about if Empire was directed by George Lucas.
Oh goodness!
It
wanted to be nearly as well shot. Different things.
Well, I found out something interesting the other day. This is just a little Star Wars trivia. Did you know that David Lynch was approached to direct Return of the Jedi? The guy that did like Eraserhead and is like this very out there, experimental, violent, like sexually violent, with a purpose.
Yeah, no, I feel.
Filmmaker, and I just found this out like last week. Like, what a different film you would have had if you had the guy behind Dune and Eraserhead
that's
in
crazy.
Charge of Return of the Jedi.
Well, even like before the Phantom Menace started, I think George Lucas asked Steven Spielberg to direct the Phantom Menace.
I have no interest in seeing Steven Spielberg do a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, the thing is, it would just be very Steven Spielberg. It would be the thing about Spielberg is that he knows how to emulate life in a way that is just not paralleled. He can shoot us in this room. Like, he could get a ton of actors to shoot us in this room doing this podcast, and it would be exactly like we would be doing it. He wouldn't have any context. He would just listen to our voices probably if they made like a Midichlorian Media, the movie. If they made that, the thing is, he would just listen to this podcast, and then he would perfectly emulate everything. Like, and that's the appeal of Spielberg and all this stuff. But at the same time, if you want something more stylistic, if you want something new and different things like that, I would go with a different director.
Right.
Because I like Spielberg a lot, and we owe Spielberg a lot of stuff for a lot of progression in film. Because I don't like it when younger filmmakers just like crap on Spielberg all the time. Like, it frustrates me. Because I'm like, you understand how many things. And I wasn't crapping because no. I know you weren't, but it's one of those things where you're like, you know how much we have, like, because of Spielberg.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And if we're looking at things from a purely business point of view, like, I think Solo opens up that topic. Very interesting to see. Mm-hmm. Like you were talking about, like, with the non-advertisement with the release date. That's been a very odd thing for me to see because Kathleen Kennedy has a pretty good history of being a very successful producer. I mean, she worked with Spielberg for years. Speaking of Spielberg, that's where Kathleen Kennedy comes out of, is being his producer.
Yeah, and she's an incredible producer, but I don't know if she's a great president. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying here is, like, maybe she should stay on as one of the main executive producers of all these films. Right. But maybe we should get somebody who's probably a little bit more of a creative. And it's because Kevin Feige, like, I'm not saying Kevin Feige should, like, I don't even know if the guy's a Star Wars fan, but that
would be very interesting to see his take on Star Wars.
It would be very interesting to see his take, but we need somebody who can, like, mold the world and also pay attention to canon, because whether people are looking at the canon materials, connection is important. And, like, and it's important to do things that surprises you because of said connections. Right. Because that's the crazy thing about Solo with Maul. And different things like that.
Well, even think about the non-canon Star Wars things now. Like, JJ basically used a bunch of novels that were not technically canon in the Star Wars universe, but were Star Wars product. And to influence The Force Awakens, like, everybody thought he was going to go the Solo Twins route.
Oh, yeah.
And, which I thought, I was kind of hoping for, but wasn't expecting.
Yeah, it's one of those things where...
so you even have that to draw from.
Yeah, because the thing is, they could have gone the Solo Twins route, but I love Rey and Kylo's relationship. Though just the way they interact with each other. That's one thing. It's just, and it's one of those things where it's something unexpected and special to me. And that's truly what I want from this film. And in the documentary that I was telling you about, Rian Johnson said, whenever I make a movie, I think of myself as the viewer. What's going to delight me? What's going to be unexpected
Obviously,
to me?
Rian Johnson and I are different viewers.
Oh, no, exactly. It's one of those things where it's like, but I still think that's a crazy thing to really think about the way that he approached it all and things like that. So,
one thing I just want to say about The Last Jedi was, like, I don't think, like, I really like The Last Jedi. I don't think it's, like, an amazing story, but I think there's, like, amazing character development in that movie.
Oh, yeah, I think
you learn so much more about, like, Rey and Kylo Ren and even, like, Poe. Like, as character,
say is Poe's development.
Like, there's amazing character development in it, and that's why I really like it, because just, like, I learned so much about it, and I just love the relationship Kylo Ren and Rey have. But I was like, but story-wise, I'm like, they're basically just running away from the First Order.
No, yeah, exactly. And that's like, no, and that is a very fair...
What are they doing in Empire?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're running away.
They're running away. It's a very... It's very similar in that regard. But it's one of those things where, people just need to, I don't know, just understand that it's Star Wars. Like, if you don't like a movie, just watch the next one. If you don't want to watch the next one, don't.
Right.
But yeah, I know.
Do you think that contributes to Solo's poor performance?
I don't think so. The reason why is because it's just like, okay. I think that marketing more has to do with it than
I would
anything.
Agree with you.
Because I don't think, because sure, I know some people who decided not to see Solo just because they dislike the Last Jedi. I think that's a very ill-advised thing, and that actually kind of makes me angry, because it's like a movie that has nothing to do with the production of this other movie besides it being this new era of Lucasfilm. It's just kind of a frustrating
I remembered my pro wrestling point.
Nice.
So, like, in that same way, like, and I'm not going to go into a deep analysis of the WWE here because that's an entirely different podcast.
Yeah.
But in the same way that you have that sort of reaction to Solo or Last Jedi or whatever is very apparent in the same way that pro wrestling works, because, like, say they're trying to make this one guy a really big superstar and the crowd, craps all over it. You're going to have less people tuning into your program. So I think it has a small percentage to do it. Mm-hmm. But that's the point I was getting at.
Well, the thing is I like the conversation we're having, but we did veer off a little bit with which is okay. It's all fine, because the thing is, when it comes down to it with, like, media and Star Wars and all this thing, it's an all-encompassing thing. It's one of the beautiful things about Star Wars is that it transcends a lot of this stuff, and it, like, kind of roots itself into all these different facets of filmmaking and different things like that. So you almost have to talk about all these things that wouldn't be the same without Star Wars, actually.
Right.
And it was one of those, but it's just interesting to see, where do you think Lucasfilm should go from here? Do you think they should? Do you think what do you think Kathleen Kennedy should do? Because technically, she's made Lucasfilm a lot of money. She's made Lucasfilm a ton of money. And so it's just one of those things where should one blunder, and I'm gonna call Solo a blunder. It is it is a box office blunder for them. And it is an ill-advised decision on their part. Like, I think you convinced me that they should have greenlit the film. Like, I think you got me there. But at the same time, the way they implemented it and the way that they have treated, that Kathleen has treated their directors, because you can't ignore the fact that Rogue One had issues.
Right.
Solo had issues. All of these films have had issues. The fact that as great as The Force Awakens is, The Force Awakens even had issues.
Yes.
And it's one of those, they even had issues shooting the film too. It's just shaky. Kathleen Kennedy doesn't know. She seems to not know how to communicate with her directors. Because I'm sorry, but Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they should have had the conversation. This is what we want for the movie, and Phil and Chris were saying, yeah, we're gonna do this improv stuff, and we're gonna have a grand old time, and it's gonna be this wacky space adventure, because that's what they were gonna make. From what I've read, at least that's what I think they were gonna make, and
I think that would have been more effective.
I personally think it would have been too, but it's one of those things where I don't know. I just, what do you think about that? What do you think? Because there's no lie that she hasn't necessarily been treating it the right way.
Well, I just kind of, one of the things I personally think is they just need to calm down on just producing so many Star Wars things. Because just it's Star Wars, you're going to make money. You don't need to, make a film every, 6 months to make money. It's just, you're going to make money, no matter what. So I would even be saying, if we got one Star Wars film every other year, I think would be perfect, because you would have enough time to breathe. Because even me, as a fan, seeing The Last Jedi, I felt like I didn't have a lot of time to breathe between Last Jedi and Solo, because it happens just it's all right, here's the next one. It's
one Star Wars
movie
film a year. Yeah, it took me a while to get that out, but no, it's one of those things where you really need to get those films out once a year, and it's just, I think that's a good thing to do, and I think that Lucasfilm will learn from this,
right?
Which is why I'm saying hold off on the whole Kathleen Kennedy getting fired
that was going to be the point that I was going to
because the thing is, I disagree. Like I said, I had you guys watch that video, but I still came out of that video saying, okay, I understand all these points on why, and they're actually very well thought out points.
Right.
But with that being said, I think one film isn't say Episode 9 bombs. Nah, okay, that's not gonna cut it. It's an episode film.
Right.
That's not gonna work out.
Right.
And so it's one of those things, and I know I'm just talking a lot, but what do you guys think? I just have a quick question for you guys. What do you guys think about the Rian Johnson trilogy? Should they, there are some people, there's a podcast I listen to, one of the main guys, he's been kind of frustrating me on his views on Star Wars lately. I like him a lot, but he's basically, he says that they should just cancel the Rian Johnson trilogy and different things like that. And it's one of those things where it's but why succumb to people who just don't like The Last Jedi? And it's and the thing is, it's one of those things where whether you dislike or like The Last Jedi, they're not going to be messing with your childhood, because these are going to be new characters. It's going to be a new side of the universe. Right. It's going to be all of these new things. Well, and the thing is, I think a part of the reason why Rian Johnson floundered a little bit was because he had to go inside of this indoctrinated part of the universe and different things like that. Yeah. I think if you just give him the reins and he can just do whatever the heck he wants, I think he can make something special.
I think it is better off to do characters that are brand new, even non-canon characters or whatever. Oh, yeah, just brand new, and then just do that, because then you won't have that backlash of he doesn't look like Han Solo. No one could be Han Solo. You won't have that.
No, exactly. And you can use unknowns.
Yeah,
you can use like completely
and then
unknown characters.
Then they can't, like Ryan Johnson, hit me up. I'm ready to go. Like,
oh yeah, same here, dude.
Let's
Honestly,
do a tag and big trilogy. I am ready.
Dude, I could be an alien that just goes wug wug wug.
I just want to be. I honestly
I'll play a tree.
I honestly just want to be in the movie long enough to get an action figure. Like,
dude, it
like,
does not take long. It does not.
Seconds?
It does not take long.
Yeah,
you can be like Boba Fett.
make me a storm. Give me the Wilhelm scream and like maybe
the
one
Boba
of those
Fett books though are so good.
Dude, have you seen like this is Jango Fett, but like Star Wars Bounty Hunter? What a great game on the PlayStation 2. It's on PlayStation 4. Like they have it as PlayStation 2 classics on PlayStation 4.
I forgot
I'm
that existed until you just said
Dude,
that.
it's such a great game. It's so dope.
But
as far as the Ryan Johnson stuff goes, I'm for it, and I'm a guy that harps on The Last Jedi a lot. And it's not a thing where it's like, I think Ryan Johnson is a bad filmmaker. I don't. Mm-hmm. Like, it just wasn't my thing.
Yeah, no, and that's completely in your right for it to not be your thing. But also, we also need to talk real quick. How well shot was The Last Jedi? Like, shoot.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, what an amazing, like, because I was talking with JB about it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, so what do you think of the movie? He's like, well, it was well shot. It was really funny.
Yeah, my issues with the film were not technical.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And not even necessarily performance-based.
Mm-hmm.
It just...
It was probably script-wise.
Yeah, story-wise, it just didn't work for me. And that's okay.
And the thing is, for me, there are aspects of the story that didn't work as well, and that's the beautiful thing about film is it's very subjective, and everybody, and you can get so many different things from a film. Like there's a film that I can think is hogwash and different thing like that, but like a child could watch a movie and just be like, wow, this just gives me pure joy and ecstasy.
I bought both original Power Rangers movies on DVD because of how much that I loved them as a kid. Yeah. And I watched them like, this is bad. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I still love them.
This is so bad, but I'm loving every minute of it.
No, dude.
Or the Ninja Turtles. I would argue the first Ninja Turtles movie is solid through and through.
No, I think the first one is quite good.
But
I think
2
it's
and 3
quite
are
good.
real rough.
Oh no, they're
I still own all of them. Special.
I just get
DVD,
really
baby.
I just get Howard the Duck vibes from the other ones.
Duck tits.
Oh gosh, gross, dude. Howard the Duck is just an unfortunate film.
Which is a shame because the comics are so fun.
No, dude. The thing, do you know? Like, apparently, there's a rumor that they're gonna try and actually have Howard the Duck be a part of it. Dude, like seriously, if you have a gun-toting raccoon in a tree, Howard the Duck should be a part of the team too.
I'm for it.
Honestly, that's an intergalactic duck.
He had a great run with Spider-Man too. I would have loved to see that.
Dude, I could just picture Tom Holland talking with a CGI duck.
Meanwhile, Seth Green's just, how's it going there?
Seth Green's a great choice to voice him too.
I know, right?
It's like he sounded great in Guardians. It was just good stuff. Well, the thing is, we're getting a little bit in the time, so let's just wind it down. Anybody have any closing thoughts or anything like that today?
Duck tits.
Yeah, that's okay. We're done forever. I'm sorry that you had to listen to that.
JJ, my offer is the same to you as Ryan. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Hit me up. I'm an unknown, very unknown.
Yeah. I don't even know.
Yeah, Corey and I Jake and I just met. But no, like for real, hit me up if you want me to be in Star Wars.
My body is ready for all prosthetics.
I'm good.
I will be but yeah, it's just one of those things where you love Star Wars, love talking about it, and we want to make it better. Like, we may complain sometimes, but we just want to make it better. We want to make it enjoyable for everybody, and we need to make sure that everybody feels included in different things like that. Absolutely. Because it's one of those things where the beautiful thing about the new era of Lucasfilm is that it exists in our day and age where we're acknowledging others. There's not just white people in the galaxy with one black guy named Lando. And it's one
That's
of those...
a great band name. One black guy named Lando.
One black guy named Lando. That actually is a really good band name. I might start a band just for that. But no, it's like one of those things, like if Donald Glover ever just does makes a band or something like that.
Call it One Black Guy Named Lando.
No, that sounds like something he would do. But it's one of those things where I just really love how they really have opened up a new part of the Star Wars mythos with it all, and really acknowledging that stuff, because whether you like dislike certain characters or not, I'm sure there are plenty of Asian kids that saw Rose on screen and was just so happy. And the thing is, I wish that I could have had a character like Finn when I was a kid, you know? And it's just like really great to see him on there. And it's like my nephew is he's a little bit too young to be like watching a ton of like movies like Star Wars. They'd be a little tense for him right now. But like, he even knows who Finn is. Like, he even has these action figures and stuff like that. And he's like, I want to watch Star Wars with you and different things like that. So it's just one of those like super cool things.
Multiculturalism is the future.
No, yeah, it's the future whether you like it or not. And it's one of those things where it's important to see yourself as a hero. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Thank you all for listening. Thanks, Jake, for deciding to be a great old co-host.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
it was
dude.
a lot of fun.
Nate, so is real as always.
Yeah.
And Midichlorian Media out.